Okay, so today for Easter 2021, I'm going to be making a coconut cake from scratch, and I'm going to use the recipe that I found on Sally's Baking Addiction. So we'll find out together, friends, if it's simply delicious. So in the dry mix, there's 2.5 cups of sifted flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt. So with the sifted cake flour, I already went through it with the whisk, but I'm just going to go ahead and sift all the ingredients together again. Sifting the flour just removes any lumps from the dry batter so that you get a smoother cake. And you can do that with a whisk or a fork, but I prefer to use a whisk. And sometimes the whisk have moisture coming out of the thing, so you just want to make sure you hang it upside down and that it's completely dry so you won't wet your cake. Also, I have egg whites separated from egg yolks. There were 5 of those. I did have a problem with some shells getting into the mix. That's why I always do my eggs separate from everything else. And the way that I handled that was I just took my straining spoon and strained the egg yolk through those holes. The weight of the white egg yolk kind of held those shells down there. If you get even the tiniest eggshell in your cake, it will be crunchy all over. I mean, it could be barely visible and it'll be crunchy all over. If you get too many in there, just throw it away and start over. That's why I always make sure I have about 3 dozen eggs during the holidays. Okay, so I'm going to cream together the sugar and 1.5 sticks of butter. The sugar was 1 2/3, and the butter is 3/4 of a cup, so that's 1.5 sticks. And I'm using my Farberware mixer. The butter was room temperature when I added it. My mixer is doing a good job of keeping it down in the bottom of the bowl where I don't have to do a lot of scraping, but if you do, the recipe says to use a rubber spatula. The butter and sugar have become like, one. It's not a lot of separation where you can distinguish butter from sugar, and that's what we want to do. Just get it mixed in well together. I like the deepness of my Farberware mixing bowl because it's kept the stuff down there pretty good. I'm probably going to order an extra set of accessories for it so I don't have to wash bowls and stuff like that in between. Okay, so now I'm going to beat in the egg whites into the bowl just until it's combined, and then we're going to add the sour cream and the extracts. Now the recipe does say that the mixture will look like it's curdled, but it's not. I'm loving my Farberware mixer. I haven't made bread yet. Haven't had a chance to, but I'll get to it. Alright, so that's blended. Now I'm going to put in the sour cream. I added the sour cream. So now I'm going to turn it down to low, gradually adding the flour on low, and I will come back once I've finished. So the flour mixture looks like it's ready to have the coconut milk, and it's 1 cup of coconut milk. We're going to mix it well. Okay, so it looks like a good cake batter. Now, when I was a kid, I used to love to lick the spoon, but I know now that maybe some tummy aches came from that. And so now I'm going to add the shredded coconut, and I'm going to whisk it in. Don't want to over mix the cake mix because I don't want it to be stiff. So, and of course, in order to know if this recipe is really simply delicious, I have to follow the instructions exactly as they were given. And so I'm going to pour in 1 cup of shredded coconut. And the instructions say to whisk it in. Okay. Okay, guys, so the instructions say to spray your cake pan, and then put parchment paper in there, and then spray that as well. So I did use my pie weight just to make sure that the parchment paper is seated flat on the thing so that I won't have cake mix running all down on the sides. And so now I'm just going to pour the cake mix in the oven, in the pan, and stick it in the oven.